Not enough muff, though.
Not enough muff. So did we say?
Now I prefer yours.
Oh, we're gonna have to sense this shit. Yeah. This is 0%, by the way.
I'm saying put the mortgage on 0-0.
Coming off the back of our huge wins at the weekend, we had some amazing bets that came off that we can visit a little bit later. We're going to have a Game Week 30 preview in the Premier League. We're not going to go through every game. We've just found some highlights that we are going through. We're going through Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night as well. But I guess, before we get into anything, guys, let's have a talk through what our victories were, just to remind people how good we had it. Sam, Ollie, quickly, what was the positives of the weekend?
Well, Ollie's yours won't take long, so you go first.
Okay, fine. My picks weren't quite as good as you guys, but I think we all agreed on Palace beating Fulham to 0 and under 4 goals.
You never said to 0. You were saying no way. This is going to sound rogue, but I'm going to go Palace to win to 0. I think it could be a 1-0, 2-0 because Fulham can keep it extremely tight.
I'm going to go with under 4 goals in the game and for it to go to extra time and pens, i.e. draw at full time. Was I?
Yeah, don't piggyback on the back of our win. I remember
put the clip in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I picked under 4 for that, actually. No, did I not pick Crystal Palace? I was actually making the case saying Crystal Palace have won 6 in a row away from home, 5 in a row away from home.
And I said to win to 0, and you went, I'm going to go under 4.
Maybe I did. That's a lesson in that, not to sit on the fence, isn't it? To strap the balls to the table and commit. So that's what I'm going to do today. What didn't come in is Brighton didn't beat Forest, obviously. And I thought that...
Preston Villa,
I said both teams to score, which obviously didn't come in.
Yeah. So I had, firstly, the big one was Palace to win to 0, which was massive. We had people all up in the TikTok buzzing off that one. That was 5-1 before the game and landed. Brighton to win obviously didn't happen. That was 0-0. That was in 90 minutes. We had Villa to beat Preston. I didn't want to put my balls on the table that time with goals and stuff. And last pick was both teams to score and City to qualify, which played out exactly how you'd expected it to.
Yeah, good pick that, mate. I like it.
Yeah, so we smashed that buzzing, mate. Well up on the FA Cup. We literally said in the last video as well that we'll have the money gun out, we'll all be rich, and I'm about £10 richer today. So
that's quality. That's why we need to move on to the Premier League fixtures now, because we've got plenty more picks coming up. I guess quite selfishly, I want to start with the Arsenal-Fulham game. There's a few things I've written on this one. This is one of my picks for the weekend because not the weekend. It's midweek. It's tomorrow, in fact, Tuesday. What I think is quite an interesting one with this one is Fulham always seem to be a bogey team for Arsenal. So we've had 3 draws with them in recent games. The Cottagers are on an unbeaten run against us, and we just don't seem to be able to get it across the line with them. There's a lot of kind of positives for us. There's a lot of positives potentially for them. But I think maybe the biggest one that's going to change everything is Bukayo Saka is at least going to have a little bit of a run out in this one. So before I kind of go into nitty gritty stats data, I want you guys to have a talk on it first. Sam, I'm going to throw it to you the first this time because Ollie obviously nicked all your data last time. So Sam, start us off.
Yeah, so for this one, I am going to back a Saka shot on target. That is because over the season, he's averaged 1.1. Obviously, he's not featured in the last 5-10 games for Arsenal, probably more than that, maybe
3
up to
months.
15. Yeah.
He's been out. Do you think he'll start, though?
Yeah,
it's Saka. Off the bench? Yeah,
it's Saka. He could literally have one leg hanging off and Arteta would start him. I don't know what happened for him to actually get 3 months off, but he'll be thrown right back in at the deep end, no matter what. It's something to do with his pressing, isn't it? He's the only type of player that can fill... He basically does the job of 2 people, But I'm going to back him to have a shot on target. I think he'll come back with a bang. I feel like he'll be well rested, as will the rest of the Arsenal team, because the most important thing from this game for me is that Fulham have just played, and they got beat comprehensively, but they played an FA Cup quarter-final where they've left it all on the line, and then they're playing again a few days later, whereas Arsenal have had the international break. Some players weren't played in that, and then they've got a few days running. So I feel like for me, Arsenal defo win this one. And Saka shot on target is what I'm going to back.
I think that's bold, the Saka shot on target, because I kind of see him coming on for the last 20 minutes, but
but then it'll be void anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go with something a bit more bit more balls on the table. I'm going to say Arsenal will win this game 2-0, and it'll be under 4 goals. So
I was
I'm going to
tempted,
say, I'm going to say I think Arsenal will win 1-2 or potentially 3-0, but probably 1 or 2-0 because I think Fulham. I said before the FA Cup games, Fulham's attack blows hot or cold. But yeah, I think the chance creation is kind of the problem. So, and obviously Arsenal's second best defense in the league. What I will say though is Fulham are a better side away from home, so that could play into this. But yeah, I think Arsenal will grind out the result. I do. So Arsenal to win 2-0 under 4.
Under 4, you love it under 4.
Well, you know,
How many games go over 4?
No comment.
So in Fulham's last 5, they've generated 1.1 XG on
Yeah.
average, which is you'd expect them
It's
to
bad.
score,
It's bad.
you know, on by law of averages. However, Arsenal concede less than an XG per game, so they're coming up against, like you say, one of the best defenses in the league. So a bad attack against a really good defense. I thought about the going to 0 as well. I like it. I like to win to 0. I hate under 4.
What do you think, Jason?
You guys are the kind of betting experts, but I do put my hat into the ring a little bit in terms of just data analysis, injury analysis, things like that. But one of the things that we will talk about a little bit more in depth as well in another video, hopefully later this week, is I've done quite a bit of research on when teams have nothing to play for. And before I started my analysis, I kind of wanted to give it to you. I'm going to go through a few of the teams that I think have got nothing to play for. But I think Fulham might possibly fall into that category now. Yes, they're on the kind of cusp of Europe, but do they honestly believe that they're good enough? Are they good enough to kind of be competing with Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Brighton, Newcastle for those kind of Europa League spots? I think not. They've probably done enough in terms of what they need to this season. They've stayed up. They're comfortable. They're looking good. Maybe a late push for Europe, but realistically, they don't expect much from Arsenal. And realistically, not much for the rest of the season. The squad just isn't good enough. So yeah, to both of you, do you think that Fulham are now at that period where they're kind of, just coasting towards the end of the season?
I think that psychology is everything in football. I say this all the time. So I think that having nothing to play for is a massive, massive factor on games. But I think that Fulham are now out of all cup competitions. They don't have European football this season to play for. So I don't know. I think they'll be very up for it, finishing strong in the Prem. And Marco Silva is not known for like a gang pressing, high intensity kind of style. So I don't know that they'll just completely fall off. That being said, they're playing Arsenal, so it's not a game that they'll go in expecting to win at the Emirates. So I think that could play a part as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword in a way, because you look at the teams there's sort of 3 teams in the Premier League at the moment. There's teams who are competing for something, which, as you mentioned, Fulham aren't one of those teams. They're not going to get into Europe realistically. They're not going to get relegated. Yeah, you can talk about the money you get for finishing higher up in the table, but is that really going through the players' minds when they're going into a 50-50 in the second last game week of the season? I don't think so. You've got teams who are in that category, teams who have got something to play for, whether it's European spots, the title, or relegation. Then you've got a third set of teams who are still in Europe or the FA Cup, and they've got one eye on those competitions. I think we're not yet at a stage where Fulham's category of teams are on the beach. I do think they'll probably, they'll be playing at 80-90%. But I think it'll drop off soon, especially we don't know how much of an impact that loss to Crystal Palace has had yet. To answer the question, I think Arsenal have more to play for than Fulham, and that probably is a bit of a fact, yeah.
Arsenal, though, it has to be said, anytime they get a sniff of the top of the table, their arse falls out. Every time.
It's so true. The season has just been unbearable to watch at times. You just got the best opportunity to kind of catch up with Liverpool, and then the players forget how to score a goal, or against West Ham they forgot how to defend as well.
But that's again the psychology. It feels like Arsenal love being the ones that nearly get there, but they don't want to be too close. They don't want to actually go into a proper battle with anyone, because they want the kind of fallback of, we were never really in that race anyway. It's like I noticed that everyone started chanting at them, second again, ole, ole.
They're like the ultimate cock teasers, aren't they, really? They get you up there, but they never get to finish, so it's quite sad. In terms of I think for this game, my prediction was going to be possibly a high scorer, just if like Ollie and I have been discussing back and forth there, if they're on the beach, I reckon Fulham could just kind of give up the shop, especially with this game as well. The psychology of losing the last game, there's not much to play for on this one. And if Saka's back as well, it's kind of talisman, new signing, all those kind of old football analogies and metaphors and things come to the front. There's a 58% chance of over 2.5 goals. So I'm going to back that because that looks like a good little one to me. And that's probably my pick for the weekend. I keep saying weekend. It's very odd. Midweek matches. But let's move on to Wolves, West Ham. Not much really to say on that one. I just kind of want from you two, is it going to be a win, draw, or away win? What are you guys backing?
This is a really tough one because the AI is struggling to split these teams itself, but West Ham are the better value side. So on the website, you see that the odds that are in green, that means that the odds of West Ham actually winning are lower than what the bookies are offering you. So you can get good value on it, but are you going to back Graham Potter's West Ham away?
No.
They've won 1 in the last 5 away.
Yeah.
They're playing a decent Wolves side. I'm kind of struggling to see why the AI has West Ham favourites here, or why it's even close. Maybe because of Wolves' home form. They've won 1 in the last 5 home games. So.
Yeah, I know. And also, Cunha's not playing, is he? Which is obviously the talisman for Wolves. I think these are two sides. I look at these two sides as very similar at the moment. I think West Ham haven't quite found the groove under Potter yet. They've shored up at the back, but attacking, they look like they're missing something. Across the last 10 games, they've averaged 1 goal per game. But Wolves, the same. I mean, Wolves rely on Cunha's individual brilliance to score, don't they? And he's out. So
you all know what this is going to be then.
It's going to be a 0-0
exactly.
or a 1-1. Or a 1-1.
0-0. Literally
yes.
lump on.
No, 1-1 I fancy.
That's what
Cunha's out. West Ham struggle to score anyway.
West Ham have still got Jared Bowen, though, who these are the kind of games where he pops up with a goal out of nowhere, I feel like. And I think Wolves will scrape one in as well. I'm going to go with low score. I'm going to go with 1-1.
I'm saying put the mortgage on 0-0.
I'm just going to say a draw. I'm not going to go as far as you, Sam, and bet a mortgage. And I'm not one for like betting scorelines as well. They're just
so
irritating.
It's the most stupid way to bet.
A horrible
that being
thing
said,
if you actually look at the team stats between these sides, they're remarkably similar.
Quickly before we move on to the Forest Manchester United game, do you want to remind people for the stats on the website and everything what kind of packages there are on offer? Because this is really insightful stuff, as you've kind of said there, and it's really easy to access on the numbersgame.uk.
Well, everything we've just spoken about is completely free. All the Premier League data is completely free. So you'll be able to see the AI predictions, the odds and which odds are good value. And then you can click on the data button and it'll just show you everything you can think of. So you've got average fouls per game, average shots on target per game. You've got a load more AI predictions, as in goals scored and clean sheets and all that stuff as well. You then can scale up to the $3.99 package, which will give you all the domestic leagues across Europe. And then you've got the analyst package, which is any league you can imagine. And then the last sort of top package is the tipster one. So if you join that one, you can get involved in our Discord channel where a tipster will give you tips all day about horse racing and all sorts, all data backed, of course. But even if you're not on that package, you can get involved in the general channel in the Discord and speak to all the other subscribers, find out what picks they're putting on. And it's a good community. It's banging at the moment.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of general betting chat, football chat, everything really. It's as you say, it's really good. It's always popping on Premier League games and European nights as well. So
it's not for the faint-hearted, though. I'd say that.
Yeah, and it's just worth saying as well on the website that we designed it to be as readable as possible. So it's not for the people who are sifting through tons of spreadsheets and looking through loads of different websites. We tried to put together the things that we thought would be useful. So if you are sat in a pub or you're on a train to a football game and you fancy a little dabble, you can get all the information you need without the sort of fluff and sort of analyze games in 60 seconds, 2 minutes, however long it takes, not long at all. And you'll be able to come up with a pretty informed decision. So yeah, check it out, numbersgame.uk.
Let's turn our attention then to the Forest Manchester United game. There's obviously a bit of interest there for you, Sam, with the Red Devils playing. However, this one, I find it very hard to call because there's a lot going for Nottingham Forest just in terms of recent form, their quality, the quality of the team. Manchester United haven't been particularly good, although on a little bit of a better run recently. However, it looks like Wood is out. Morgan Gibbs-White is probably out as well. So I've gone from a possible definite win to Forest to a tight one. What are you guys saying? I'm going to throw it to Ollie this time. He's probably been reading over your shoulder, stolen the paperwork. But yeah, Ollie, what are you saying with this one?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, the AI thinks United are 1% favourites in this one, which is really interesting. I think we talked about how much of an impact Chris Wood would have on Chris Woodward would
Ed
have.
Woodward. How much wood would a Chris Woodward if a Chris could rush Rodri?
Oh, that's so hard.
It was a difficult one to see, really, because the game was so bad against Brighton at the weekend. I mean, Brighton were attacking, if you can call it that, for most of the game. For the first hour, Forest hardly put up any sort of attacking threat at all, and then they brought on Callum Hudson-Odoi and Elanga and had a little bit more of a threat. But I think it was hard to see whether Chris Wood was missed because of the tactics that Forest used. And they won't be able to do that against United because United won't attack them like Brighton did at home. Morgan Gibbs-White is potentially an even bigger miss because he's the sort of creative attacking player in that team who sort of pulls the strings. So they'll be relying on the pace of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, which at the end of the day is not the worst thing. I think, once again, this will be a low-scoring game. I don't have any faith in United's attack outside of Bruno. And I think that Forest, with their two most talismanic attacking players out, will be struggling as well. Worth saying, we always love, don't we, a player playing against their old club.
Oh,
so I highlighted Elanga in my notes here. I'm not going to back him to score because, as I say, I think it will be a low-scoring game, but I'm definitely going to back him to have a shot on target. His data is not the best. He averages just under 1 a game, but he's been playing in a more advanced role in the last couple of Forest games. And
times that by the old club coefficient.
Exactly. So I expect him to be played on the last man, potentially, and I expect him to be giving that extra 10%. So I'm going to go with Elanga shot on target, and I'm sorry to say this, mate, but I'm going under 4 as well.
Read it and weep, though, as well. United, across the last 10 games, every single stat, apart from goals scored, as in realised, the XG for United is better, but Forest have scored more goals. We highlighted in the last video that Forest actually have the 16th best XG generated in the Premier League, and the goals have been outperforming that. So that luck has got to end at some point. And like we also highlighted, Chris Wood was part of the reason that they were outperforming that, and he's out of this game. So I could see it being low scoring, definitely, but United have the better of the stats. The only thing that Forest have done better in the last 10 is clean sheets. You wouldn't fancy a United clean sheet, though, as well, at the same time. It could be like a 1-1.
I could see a 1-0 to United, or a 0-0, or 1-0, something like that. I don't. Again, this isn't a game that I would tune in to watch necessarily.
It's not a game that I would actually bet on because I never bet on United because they're so inconsistent anyway. If you had a gun to my head, I'd probably for this one pick something like a Bruno goal or assist because, like you say, he's the only player at the moment that could do anything for United. And I do think they'll be up for it. They have got good stats. They've quietly lost 1 in the last 10 games, United. It never feels like that, but they're actually in decent form. With that being said, I would back a Bruno goal or assist, but there's not much else you'd pick. Like, it wouldn't surprise you that much if Forest somehow won 4-0.
Yeah,
but then also 0-0 or 4-0 United.
And we talked about it with Fulham earlier, Fulham being in one category of teams who don't have anything really to play for. Forest and United are in different categories here. Forest, they are in the FA Cup semi-final, but the Premier League is surely their main priority because of the money involved in Europe next season. United, on the other hand, the Europa League is their sole priority. And I know
they're playing for pride as well, which this United group, how mentally weak they are, it doesn't mean anything, does it? They don't have any pride. They don't have any self-respect.
No.
These are all points that I agree with. I mean, another thing that I wanted to bring to the fore, actually, though, was that Nottingham Forest, their defence have kind of fallen off recently. So looking at their data, this is making Sam very, very happy. 13 goals conceded in their last 7 Premier League games. So that is pretty worrying data there. And
it is.
This kind of shifts the narrative a little bit. They've done so well this season. But it's no surprise that they're struggling a little bit too. But what I am going to say is I am backing Forest for this one. I think they're at home.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going probably against the grain a little bit here, but I just don't see them defensively. They should stop Manchester United. I reckon it'll be a low-scoring one, probably a 1-0. for Forest, and they're just going to see it through. That's what I see.
Say those beautiful 2 words, Jason. Say them. We all want to hear them. Under 4.
No, because if you're saying low scoring, under 4 is not low scoring.
Under 4, baby.
I don't mind.
It's coming in.
I actually don't mind a pick like that if it was under 2.5.
Under 4.
Under 4 is just what odds are you getting on that?
1.2, baby.
Let me see what odds you're getting on that.
It's not going to be
I'd
big
rather
odds.
say under 2.5 if I'm honest.
Ooh.
Exactly. There you go.
You're
now
a
there's
bold
man
man,
who's got
Jason.
balls on the
You've not read enough TikTok comments yet, mate. It really shows in your picks.
Under 4 goals in this. He's 3 to 10.
Yeah. Stick the mortgage on it, mate. And
So-
you're able to get a little extension.
For those that don't do those type of odds, you put a tenner on, you're getting £3 back.
Yeah, baby. So Elanga shot on target and under 4 goals.
That seems
Was that your TikTok pick?
That was my TikTok pick, baby.
Wow.
So if you put money
Roger
on
the
it,
AI guy.
if you put money on it and it doesn't come in, do not comment on my video. If it does come in, then leave a like and subscribe, baby.
Smash that like button.
Let's continue over to Bournemouth Ipswich. I think this one's a pretty easy one. Bournemouth to win. But any kind of interesting bets from either of you two?
Yeah.
Bournemouth home form, baby.
Yeah, but one thing that I'll say about Bournemouth is that we all think of them as this marauding attacking side, and they are, of course, but they seem to have they were playing better when they had less options. I don't know if that's coincidence or what, but they have been struggling for form recently, and Semenyo looks like he's injured now, which will be a miss for them, although I'm not Semenyo's biggest fan, it has to be said. I do think he's not a great finisher. I think Bournemouth will win this game, but I don't think you'll be looking at 3-4, 5-0. I think it might be a 2-1, something like that.
So you might say under 4.
I'm not going to say it. This one.
I'm going to actually go the opposite way. I think Bournemouth, off the back of that City defeat, which will have been devastated for them. You know that Tom and Jerry meme where Jerry smacks someone on the arse and then no. So basically,
Cut that.
delete that shit. Off the back of the City defeat, I feel like they've prodded the bear. I don't think Bournemouth have ever been referred to that before ever. But honestly, I feel like they'll just come back and take it out on Ipswich. I feel like it could be like a 4-0.
Really, they've not won in the last 6 games.
I know
Bournemouth.
they've not won in the last 5 at home.
Yeah.
But that's why I feel like they've been hard done by. They've underperformed their XG so much, generating over 2 per game, scoring 1.2 real goals a game. I feel like it's time for them to wake up. I think Iraola will be fuming about the weekend. I feel like they'll all be bang up for it. They've just got a new training ground. They're going to be training all week.
Oh, I love the narratives, man. I love them so much.
They're going to be in the pool, messing around, having a good time.
So, are we gonna say now though that Bournemouth's European dreams are probably over as well, given that they're 10th in the Premier League, they're in bad form. So that puts them in that category of teams who could potentially be on the beach. And good thing about Bournemouth is you don't have to travel very far to get to a beach. So, yeah. I think that I don't see it being 4-5 personally. I'm going to go with Bournemouth straight up. Bournemouth to win.
I'm going with that as well. Let's shift our attention to Wednesday then. And another team from the seaside, the Seagulls, against Aston Villa. Now, I'm saying Brighton are probably one of the teams with nothing to play for as well. And make sure to check out that video once it drops on the channel about my kind of in-depth data as well, because it's more than just a hunch. I've done quite a few bits of data analysis on it going back a few seasons as well. Does this mean it's going to be a defensively wide open game? Rashford was looking good in that last one. Watkins is probably going to be back and sniffing for goals at the midweek game. Also, Villa 4 clean sheets in their last 5 games, showing a bit of a turnaround in form. Defensive fragilities are seemingly out of the window for now. There's a lot going for them, but Brighton are home favourites. So this could be a good one, I guess, for going against the AI here. What about you two? Are you going with the AI, backing Bournemouth, or going against AI? And potentially that's one that could get some good odds.
I'm going with the AI, but not for the overall result. I'm going with the AI in terms of both teams to score, because in the game like this, there's no way I'm touching the overall result. No way. I would never do that. Like, both of these sides played at the weekend, so that's one thing that kind of balances out. Both of them similar positions in the table, but both of them can be inconsistent. Villa tend to sort of put together streaks of form. Brighton, you never know who the hell is going to turn up.
Yeah.
So the only thing I would back in this is both teams to score. I think both of them concede a decent amount of chances. Rashford has found his level playing against North End. So who knows if he'll bring that into the Premier League? I don't know.
Well, I look, I'm not going to be watching this game, so I'm going to back Brighton to win, because every time I watch Brighton, they're utter toss, but they must be doing something right because they're 7th in the league. So I don't know if I would say that Brighton have got nothing to play for yet, given they are 7th. They could definitely still sneak into a European spot, given the top 5 get Champions League this season, and then obviously that means that, I think, is it 8th now, would get into the Conference League. So they're definitely there or thereabouts. Villa as well, that sit 9th, so they'll be in with a shout. And look, this is one of them games, again, where you can say the expected narrative can be swung in any direction, right? You could say, I could tell you Villa are the 16th best team in the league away from home, as I did in the last video. In other words, they're terrible on the road. But then they've won 3 in a row on the road now. They've won 5 in a row in all competitions, Villa. But in that time, they've played Cardiff, Club Brugge, Brentford away, which was a good win for them, Club Brugge again, and then Preston North End. So all teams you would expect them to be, given Brentford's home form has been terrible recently. They've not won in a long time. But given Brighton are at home, I'm going to go with both teams to score as well, and I think I'm going to go with a Brighton win. I'm going to nail my balls to the table here, and I'm going to say Brighton to win.
Both teams to score, and a Morgan Rogers foul for me. 1.46 per game over the season. He likes getting stuck in there, and it's one of those games where, you know, it could be a bit of a end-to-end type scenario. So you tend to get more fouls in them kind of games.
So let's continue over to the other team in Manchester. Boo, you can say, Sam. Man City versus Leicester. I think this one, we probably don't even need to say anything apart from the interesting bets. Haaland's injured for this one, it looks like, caught by Lewis Cook, but I don't think it should affect the game too much. Is there any kind of interesting ones that people should jump on for this game, though, Sam or Ollie?
Defo for me. I mean, Leicester under Ruud van Nistelrooy, what a nutty appointment that is. As we said at the time, just one of those trendy appointments.
We've talked about this so many times.
He was United interim manager, beat Leicester twice, and then they hired him. So terrible appointment, I would say, for the job at hand. And they've won 1 in the last 10. They're whipping boys of the Prem. I think you can say that. United even beat them 3-0. And Haaland is out, but Mamouche has been arguably the better player over the past
been so good.
certainly few months, and he'll get a start. So for me in this one, City to win, over 3.5 goals in the game.
Yeah.
Mamouche to score or assist.
He's a proper player, Mamouche, isn't he? Do you know what? I feel a bit, I don't want to say regretful, but I kind of wish he went somewhere else other than City, because I think if he was playing at Liverpool or somewhere and playing week in, week out, I think he'd be a Premier League star like next season or maybe the year after. He's got it all. He's quick. He's got unbelievable technical ability. He's the kind of player you'd have on pens, free kicks, corners, everything. But at City, he's just never seems to get a run of games. It's classic Guardiola, and I know they've got loads of options, but hopefully this Haaland injury, and no one wants to see players injured, obviously, but hopefully it means he gets a run of games in that team. And
apart from that big Norwegian goth, we don't mind seeing him injured.
So I don't think it's even worth putting. I'd go with City winning margin of 2 or more, just because Leicester are so bad. But
it's probably not even worth backing City the overall result.
No,
it'll be about 1 to 10.
Yeah, the odds will be so bad on it. And City haven't been blowing teams away since the very start of the season. Like, they've not been.
But I think that's why I think Haaland being out could actually go against Leicester for that, because he's never gonna drop Haaland.
Yeah,
and I feel like they're a bit more.
I think Marmouche was always
when he
bad.
He stinks to gaff out Haaland.
Yeah, but he didn't. Marmouche wasn't starting in the FA Cup, so it would have been Haaland and Marmouche. Yeah, maybe Haaland being out has cleared up a bit of space to rebalance the team. I'm not sure.
Is he defo out? Because you can still bet on him.
Well, he walked. I know
he went out in a boot.
Doesn't mean he's defo out. No. There's no confirmation.
No, I'm not saying he's definitely out, but the latest news from Pep Guardiola was, I don't know. So that's very, very helpful for people.
I think City are still in the FA Cup, right? And they're still fighting for top 4.
He'll go tooth and nail for the FA Cup as well.
It would be madness to start Haaland against Leicester at home if he's carrying a bit of a knock.
Yeah.
Surely you just rest him when you've got that plethora of attacking talent on the bench anyway.
So I guess you two will have a big eye on the Merseyside derby this week. Liverpool, Everton. There's a lot to talk about with that one? Let's open the floor up. Ollie, do you want to start us off with this one?
I think that Liverpool will be. This is a really important game for Liverpool. A massive game. In fact,
Everton,
it could even. It won't define the season, obviously, because I feel like those games are now in the rearview mirror, the season-defining ones. Unless, of course, they do start bottling it big time, which I don't expect them to do. There's too much experience in this Liverpool team. You know, they've got World Cup winners, Champions League winners, Premier League winners all over the pitch. They're not going to drop a 12-point lead with 8 games left. I just don't see it.
Say it again. Say it again, please.
But Everton are unbeaten in the last 9 games, so I don't feel like it's going to be a walk in the park. I think it'll be a tight game. I think there'll be a 1-goal margin in it, but I do think Liverpool will win.
I would say on this one, hilariously, right? Obviously, they had the 2-2, the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, potentially. Everton haven't lost since that game. They've also only won 1 since that game.
Yeah.
So they played 5, drawn 4 of them. You could see this one being a draw, and Arsenal would take that, but I don't think, like Ollie says, it's going to change anything in the title race at all. When it's the Merseyside derby, kind of a lot of things change, and it can be quite tight.
The last 3 Merseyside derbies at Anfield have all finished 2-0 to Liverpool, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another 2-0.
Yeah,
to be honest. But yeah, I don't think this is a Liverpool side that are quite as fluent as they were. So
the Trent noise as well. Do you think that affects anything?
Well, Trent's out injured as well, and for me, Trent's so important in that Liverpool team. He really is. It might be a bit of a dull Merseyside derby compared to the one at Goodison Park, I would say, but it'll still be an interesting game. I'll go with under 4.
You'd fucking messing with me, man. Oh my god!
You can see that happening.
2.5 for this.
You can see it in his eyes. I'm gonna, as you two would say, put my balls on the table here, nailing them on. Sorry to cause a mess, everybody. I'm going for a draw. So thanks for watching. That was our tips for Tuesday and Wednesday's Premier League games. Please do leave a comment on what you're going to be doing as well. But for now, we're going to say goodbye and make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and also stay tuned for our Chelsea vs Spurs analysis and then our weekend picks ahead of the Premier League, which returns properly at the weekend. So thanks for now.